Welcome to Adobe Illustrator, Tricks of the Trade, digital illustrations for t-shirt designs. This is Professor McElroy, and today we are going to be tackling nonprofit t-shirt design illustration in Adobe Illustrator for KLCB. The image you see are some of the skills that we'll be introduced to practicing as we do this octopus digital illustration. We'll be covering things like the pen tool, Bezier curves, text on a path, line width tool, object transform reflect, type create outline, shape tool, pen plus, pathfinder unite, the concept of foreground, middle ground, and background, Pathfinder subtract, effects warp, expand appearance, and object group clipping mask. We'll be talking about all the professional applications, why designers do what they do as it relates to digital illustration and vector-based design. Whenever possible, we like to bring the community into the classroom. So KLCB is one that our students often create designs for. You see a bunch of t-shirt designs for some of their major events throughout the year, stickers that they hand out at events that people put on their water bottle containers and such. And they were introduced to the concept of vehicle wrap or graphics design, which you can see the finalized design here and the application on their trucks. So let's get into it. I've provided KLCB underscore coastal.ai, which is our design, both the finished version, raster-based image. I went ahead and flattened it and turned it into pixels. So you have an image of it. And then the watermarked template of just the octopus drawing over here so that we can learn some of the skills that were required to create this illustration in Adobe Illustrator. Over here in the layers palette, you'll see that my template layer is locked and my vector drawing layer is the active layer that we're on. I'll be using several tools during this demonstration, and I'll also be talking about some short key commands to make your life a little bit easier and a little quicker when you're kind of navigating through Adobe Illustrator, keeping in mind that time is money. So we want to kind of try to do this thing in a timely manner so that we can produce more product, create more things. So here we go. Let's get started. We're going to start over here in our shape tools area with our ellipse tool. I'm going to make sure that our foreground color or our fill color here is none. So it's transparent and it only has a stroke. That way I'll be able to draw over my template and see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to start in the middle of the head area, hold down Shift Option and kind of drag a circle. I'm going to use my arrow keys because you can kind of nudge it up and nudge it down based on your arrow keys. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my selection arrow, my global, I like to call it my global selection arrow because that's the arrow that allows me to select the object as a whole. You'll notice this is kind of an oblong shape. So I'm going to go ahead and take the pen tool and do the pen plus, which means I'm just adding nodes or points to my circle. It starts with 4 points and you can add more. You can also hold down Shift and select more than 1 point at a time. So I'm going to do that so I can kind of nudge this down a little bit and create the head. You'll notice we probably need to add a few nodes at the top too. So I'm going to add a couple at the top, use my selection arrow, my direct select arrow, which is the white one. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to nudge this thing up a little bit. I'm going to also nudge that out. I'm going to nudge this one out and up. And I'm going to match the shape of the head of my octopus. I like to draw on a little bit more of a modern approach. So a lot of my things will be clean line, very simple, very silhouette in nature, very rounded, just because I like the look of the cleanliness of that. So you'll often see that when I'm doing demos. I try to keep things bold and graphic and modern in nature. So we have the basic shape of the head here. So now we got to deal with these little arms that are branching out. Now, when I learned to draw, I would follow my pen in my sketchbook and draw the outer line of something like this for the arm. I would follow along the outside, make a shape out of it, and then I would fill it in with my pen. And then I would, in essence, create a silhouette of whatever I was drawing. And Illustrator, you still kind of needed to do that for quite a period of time. But they introduced not long ago the idea of the width tool. So I'm going to go ahead and use Bezier curves, and I'm going to draw this basic arm. And you're going to notice I'm kind of going through the middle of it to kind of create the line I need for this. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go back to my selection arrow so you can see it. So there's the curve of my line for the arm of this. Now I'm going to go and make sure that my stroke palette, here's my stroke palette. This is going to become an important palette for us as we create the arms. So I just pulled it off of my palettes over here. So it's floating by itself. So I have a little bit better access to it. Any palettes you see over here that you may not see, you can go to the window drop down, and these are all the palettes. They're kind of groupings of information of common actions or attributes that designers over the year for Illustrator have grouped into these little areas, image areas, and those are called palettes. So let's go over to our width tool, which is right over here. And the beauty about the width tool is I can grab the base of this and pull it out, and it creates a tapered arm for me. I like to use a round end cap to my lines, and I also like to do round joints, which are the kind of pivot points in our nodes of our line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That looks pretty good. It's got a nice taper to it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this line now. And what's really important, the next step is you need to expand the appearance of your line. Now, if you take a look at this, now it has the nodes along the outside, just like I would have done if I drew it in my sketchbook as a shape. As far as Illustrator is concerned, it thinks you created it using the pen tool and doing all these outer lines and closing the shape. When in reality, you use the pen tool and you use the width tool to create the thickness of that line. I'm going to go ahead and select that new shape, hold down Shift, select the head, and I'm going to go over to my Pathfinder. This is another really important palette because adding or uniting two shapes together to make a silhouette is a really important step. And minus from the front, which means if I clicked on that button, it would have cut out where my line overlapped my head right here. It would have subtracted this little shape right here. And there's times we need to do that because we need to make parts of our drawing transparent so that you'll be able to see whatever material you're printing on, in this case, a t-shirt, through that area of the illustration. So a light blue t-shirt will be light blue where it says klcb.org. It'll be light blue in the little bowls and counters of your letters, which are these little voids right here. It'll be light blue in the suction cup area where I cut those circles out of the legs. And so whatever color shirt you printed on is what color it would be. So anything light blue on here is a void in the illustration so you can see through it. I did make the eyeballs light blue, not the color of the t-shirt in this particular illustration because I wanted to make sure that the eyeballs on the octopus were indeed light blue. All right, so we have those two shapes selected. We're going to unite them. And we're going to hit our toggle switch over here and make it an outline again. So now we need to do that for every single leg. Now you'll notice some of the legs have a little bit more of a challenge. Now you'll notice I'm trying to pull like in the direction of a 45 when I'm drawing my line. So you see that 45? It creates a little bit smoother of a line. You'll notice there's that little nook in the arm right here. It's because I didn't do such a good job with the 45. Now, remember, 1 point, black stroke only. We're going to go into the width tool, and we're going to expand this, and we're going to round off the end cap, round off the joint. Now we're going to go and expand the appearance. We're going to switch back to our selection arrow so we can hold down Shift and select the octopus and the new leg. There it is. Hit the toggle switch back to stroke. All right, on to the next one. I like to go back to the main global selection arrow after everything I do that relates to a treatment or a technique. That way I'm not double drawing lines. I'm not doing extra things that I didn't want to do. So I kind of take each time. So see, I made the width. I went back to the global selection arrow. And I like to go back to the stroke tool after each line drawn. And I'm just doing different styles so that you can see the difference in the line weight, kind of the line taper of this. I'm gonna put a little extra hook on that one. And I do things over and over again, just so that you get the idea of repetition. If you're watching this to learn and you wanna watch it more than one time, the repetition's really good for kind of teaching you the process. So I'll go the long way quite a bit, just so that you can see things I would do in a little bit shorter key command. I do a little bit longer just so you get the idea. All right, we're coming along here. All right, so we have this one that goes behind that leg, and I'm going to show you a clipping mask or different ways you can do that after we get all our legs created. You'll notice that when I was demoing the process for students for the project, I cut out some of the legs so it looked a little more complicated of an illustration. In theory, these all could just overlap. I just did it to make it a little more dynamic, the illustration a little more dynamic. But it's really coming along. You can see it in silhouette. And when I go over to my layers and I hide my template, you really see what's coming along here. All right, so let's do this one. Let's do more of a 90 degrees there. Then we'll pull more of a 45 there. A little bit more of a, maybe a 90 degrees there. And then maybe a little bit more of a 45 there. I really love to draw. I used to be someone that would draw a lot in more of a sketchpad environment. And now I use my iPad for all kinds of stuff. And I use the outline because I want to be able to see what's going on here with my foot. All right, so we have this last little shape down here. So let's do it the old-fashioned way, just so that you can see the difference. This is how I would have done it back in my sketchbook days. And you can always go back. See how there's a directional anchor forward and a directional anchor back. This is the anchor that shows where the line has curved from. This forward direction anchor is the controller for the line curving as it goes forward. And so let's do that. We can click on that center dot. It'll actually remove the directional anchor. So then we can draw a perfect change of direction. So moving that forward directional anchor comes in handy sometimes when you need to flatten something out. So I'll have to do it down here again. So you see when I click that, if I was to pull a directional anchor, I could have just clicked that center dot and removed it. And this is how you close a shape. Go back to get that empty O or empty hole in it. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to hold down shift and click on that, and I'm going to group it. Now, we have one little void here, which you'll see. So let's see what it looks like if I just hide that shape. Well, it looks kind of good. Although I'm going to go in here and show you a technique for cutting out this little arm area. So if I go in here, see, mine's a little bit different because I didn't follow exactly the curve of the original template. So I'm just going to I'm going to zoom in, Command plus, use my direct select to make sure that I have it matched up the way I want it. And then I can select this, select this, and cut out that. Now you'll notice, let's zoom in a little bit. You'll notice there is a little spot here. So let's zoom in. So I'm going to use my direct select and just select those two nodes. And I'm going to do, well, let's do, take this and line it up a little bit better. And I'm going to select those two. And I'm going to do object path average. And that'll give me a more direct connection. And so there's the first part. And then I need to cut this void out. There's my little arm. Oh, what happened to our pen tool over here? I must delete it by mistake. So let's just go in real quick and draw it again. Go back, remove the forward anchor. You know what? I'm going to select this shape and select this shape, and I'm going to unite them. And that way they're all one shape. All right, we got that. Now let's get in and do the eyeballs. So we're going to go in and use our circle tool. I'm going to hold down Shift Option so I can draw from the center of the line. There's my eyeball. And then I can click on the center waist of this thing and hold down Shift Option and drag a copy of it. So you can see the copy right there. Then if I hold down Shift Option from the edge of the bounding box, that's what they call this little square that appears. And these are the handles that can control scale and rotation. I can do that. I can grab the waist again, do Shift Option, make a copy, grab the corner, Shift Option, scale from the center, drop that in, grab the waist, Shift Option. I got to zoom in because this is a little circle. Grab the corner, Shift Option, scale from the center, drop that in. Now, this is the eyelid, and it's cut out from a circle. So I'm just going to copy and paste that one. Command C, Command V. Stretch it up a little bit. Stretch it down a little bit. Just like that. Maybe a little bit further. I actually have to rotate it just a skosh to give it a little personality. Okay. All right. So I have this selected, but this circle and this circle are actually subtracted or cut out from this circle using the minus tool. So what I'm going to do is, because I need to use it as a template for both this circle and this circle. So I'm going to select this one and copy it. When you copy it, it goes out onto that virtual paste board on the computer. So as long as I don't copy anything else, this circle will remain in its spot. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to select the outer circle and remove that. And then I'm going to do edit, paste in place, and I'll put my circle right back where it's supposed to be. Hold down shift and subtract that. And there is my eyeball. I'm actually going to draw a selection box with my selection arrow, grab the waist or the center dot, shift option, drag a copy, let the mouse go before I let the shift option go, and then object transform, reflect, click OK, click on this waist, hold down shift, and just drag it over. Now I could nudge it up a little bit because in my illustration, it's actually just slightly misaligned horizontally. It's not perfectly across from each other. All right, we got our octopus drawn here. Let's move that out of the way. Let's move that out of the way. And so let's just talk through the process here of everything like the bucket. You see the bucket here? This is actually a rounded rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle, and then I'm going to grab the center dot around the corner, and that'll allow me to create kind of this rounded rectangle. I'm going to use direct select and select just these 2 points, hit the right arrows to nudge it in, grab just these 2 points, left arrow, nudge it in, just these 2 points, right arrow, nudge it out, just these 2 points, holding down shift, and nudge it the other direction. And now you'll see that this is like that. Grab the corner, round it in a little bit, grab the center waist, shift option, drag it across to the other end. You'll notice that this one is only rounded on the outside. So if you use your direct select, you can pick just that corner and round it. And then shift option, drag a copy over, object, transform, reflect. There it is. And so now hold down shift, select all of these shapes and unite them. Unite them. Now, you'll see this right here. The best way to do it, now that we've learned, is the whisk tool, right? So we can make this pretty easy. Oh, there it is. Let's do thickness. Let's make it a little bit thicker. Round and round. Object, expand. Hold down shift, select the bucket, and unite it. And there's our bucket. And you'll notice the arm goes in front of, or the arm goes in front of the bucket there. So let's just do that so we can talk about, I'm just going to create a shape here that follows along the arm. Like this, subtract it. And there's the arm in front of the bucket. Right? So let's hide that. Oh, looking good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about type, because you're going to notice the cleanup type right here. I'm going to use my text tool. I'm going to use a cap lock and write clean up. I'm going to grab the corner, Shift Option, scale this baby up. Well, let's open our character palette, which is under Window, Type, Character. I'm going to get in here, and I like Avenir, next condensed. So let's do that. Let's make it bold. Let's apply an effect to the type, which is called a bulge. So there it is. Grab the corner, Shift Option, scale that baby up, and nudge it over a little bit so it's a little more centered. There is my drawing. Okay, so when you do an effect, you'll notice that when I select the type, I could still edit the type, right? You can see that's right there. Now, but the effect creates this big, huge type curve. So when you have your words typed and you have your effect applied, and I'm going to be sharing this with someone who may be opening it up as a PDF and EPFs with some editing capabilities, I want to make sure that I create a shape out of that. So you see when I expanded the appearance, now there isn't an underline where the words were typed out, it's a shape. So now Illustrator thinks, just like when I did the expand on the line, it thinks that this is a shape. Why that's important, I could manipulate any nodes on this if I wanted to, which is perfect because it gives me the opportunity to, so let's switch it to outline, right? It gives me the opportunity to manipulate it independently. Now you'll notice this little arm right here, I want it to go in front of that L. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to select my silhouette now. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to edit, paste in place so it puts it exactly in the same place it was. And I'm going to, well, I know this is a pretty straight line, but just for the sake of the process, let's do this. I'm going to create a shape. Now remember, there's two copies of the octopus sitting right on top of each other. So if I select these two things, I can do Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and it's going to make just that arm. And how do I know it made just that arm? Because I'm going to go over into my swatches and I'm going to pick like, I don't know, a purple. Oh, wrong one. Let's go in here and make it purple. Sorry, I went into by double clicking, so I'm inside the clipping mask. And so now when I select this one and I make it purple and I make this white, you'll see that that arm goes in front of the letters. While we're here, I might as well color in the eyes. Make these blue. We'll talk about Pantone colors in another lecture and the right way to do this drawing to make sure that there's Pantone colors being used. Now you'll notice the eyeballs. There's one there. So I have to select it. And let's go to our swatches. Make it white. And then go back to our layers. I just have to find my circles. There's another one. This one should be white. I can just double click on that, make it white. Object, arrange, bring to front, make sure it's in the front. All right, so let's find the other ones. I can also do it this way, draw a selection box, get rid of the ones that I didn't want selected. Do the same thing here, draw a selection box. Oh, do I have that little pupil there somewhere? Oh, there it is. Oh, where is that little bugger? There he is. And then I also have to remove the stroke on this eyeball. All right, there we go. we might as well move the stroke on the text too. And for the sake of the process, let's draw a big box just so you can see that I dummied up the drawing in light blue so that it reflected the t-shirt color for KLCB, so they could see what it was going to look like on the shirt. It's like this, white, give it no stroke. So we're really coming along here. Now, a couple of areas to talk about, right? So we have these suction cups. I'm just going to draw a circle, drag a copy, drag a copy, and I'm going to hold down Shift and group those, Command G, select the octopus and subtract. Now, it automatically moves it to the front. So I'm going to hold down Shift and select the background color in the octopus and send to back. And so I've got little suction cups all over the place here. So some of them are white. So those, I just did this. Zoom in. Curve them along so you can see. There they are. All right, gang. So there is the beginning of the version video 1 demo of tricks of the trade for Adobe Illustrator, drawing a octopus t-shirt design for a local nonprofit. We'll continue in the next demo with things like drop shadows, some more complex foreground, middle ground, and background techniques, and continue to kind of evolve our skill set in Adobe Illustrator. All right, gang, have a good one.